Lucky number 13 will say win here as they pull into turn number 4. Spy the orange cone. Striegel puts the green flag in the air, and we are off and running for the O'Reilly Auto Parts USRA stock cars. David Hendrix able to get away clean as a drag race down the backstretch. He gets about a 3-car length advantage over Dietrich, who is side by side with Doug Keller in the 7. Keller between the wall and Dietrich trying to pull his car around in front and take sole possession of the number 2 spot, but the 13 strong through the middle of turn 1 and 2. He is able to hold on side-by-side racing at that spot, Shane, and that spot only, as we're a couple laps into this one, and it didn't last very long. Doug Keller, the 48-year-old out of Easton, Missouri, currently 3rd in the points, able to get around Dietrich, take away that spot. He now rides in 2nd. We'll try to start reeling in the Buckhorn Bullet.
Well, the Buckhorn Bullet, Corey, we talked about this whenever Doug and I had the call last week. What he has been able to do just in the last few weeks, and I think tonight's another example of it. He told us last year in a street stock, and there has to be some type of translation. Yeah, I know there's some differences in the cars, but he's got a big book of notes that he has taken for years as far as what adjustments need to be made. He can go in, and week 1, he was not great in the heat. Came back out, ran 2nd. Then all of a sudden he comes out, wins 2 in a row. Looks as though he's going to win now 3 in a row. And there's a car there in the 7 of Doug Keller that makes a pass for 2nd right now. He's going to get the crossover from the 13, peeking to the inside in Dietrich. But Doug Keller also told us that he's just looking for high car counts and good runs. He's in it for the point hunt and the championship towards the end of the year in this USRA stock car division. Last week didn't really work out for him as he dropped all the way back as he was fighting for the lead back to 4th. Now he's in 2nd, and Dietrich almost in the clutches of him to grab that spot away. All in the meantime, David Hendrix just continues to build his lead.
You're talking about a driver in Doug Keller up on the wheel with the number 7 that found his way into 17 NASCAR truck races. Back in 2001 and 2003, he was a 25-time runner in the ARCA series in the early 2000s, had 3 top 5 finishes, was number 2 in the national points last year in this series, and he, along with a lot of drivers, Shane, are really happy to know that the USRA Nationals are now going to call Lucas Oil Speedway home, and that's one of the reasons you say he's chasing those national points. He's also wanting to have that dominant advantage when it comes time to win a national championship. He will have driven on the track that will be contested on every Saturday night for an entire season.
Asked him about the USRA Nationals down in the pit area last week, and I asked, how many cars do you think will be here? He said, you're going to have over 200 total, easy. He said, you're probably going to have 35 or so Ozark Golf Cars USRA stock cars. And then he added to that, he said the fact that it's here at Lucas Oil Speedway, the fact that it's going to be televised, there are going to be stock car drivers coming out of the woodworks to come out and attend that event where you might not normally get them for a national show. You might get them here this year.
Somebody marking it off their bucket list. David Hendrix is checking out, almost a 3-second advantage over that 2-car battle for 2nd between Lyle Dietrich and Doug Keller as they go side by side in turn number 4 now. And now throw the 21P's name, Darren Phillips, into the mix as he is within striking distance of those other 2 cars that are vying for 2nd. Craig Wright in the 24W going a lap down to your race leader, David Hendrix. He tries to open up a lane to the outside, but everybody that wants around him wants to be on the inside, so they'll just split him and go around. And it looks like the 24W is going to throw in the towel here maybe and go ahead and make the hard right-hand turn and exit stage right. He does. So we lose our 2nd car from a field of 8 down to a field of 6. And right now, David Hendrix just like he looks like he's turning qualifying lap, Shane. A 2.5-second advantage over Lyle Dietrich as that battle has gone back and forth. Keller now falling all the way back to 4th. Dietrich has 2nd, and the man on the move is Wheatland's Darren Phillips.
Exact same thing we saw with Doug Keller last week. Starts the race well, but then all of a sudden Carr just starts to go away as he is passed by Darren Phillips, who's here from Wheatland, currently 6th in the point standings. It's a Phillips engine. He builds it his own. He's finished in the top 10 a couple of times, 7th place and a 9th place, and now he is looking at his first top 5.
Traded away an A-Mod mid-season last year, said going to get into one of these stock cars now. Just 4 more laps for the Buckhorn Bullet. David Hendrix, who has that lead back out almost to 3 full seconds. Dietrich trying to hold on to second place, shielding it away from Darren Phillips. He finished 7th and 8th here at Lucas Oil Speedway, finished 3rd at Dallas County last week and 4th there last night. So that 21P incrementally getting better and better each and every week. Will it relate to a top 2, top 3 finish here tonight? Right now, though, he has got his hands full. Dietrich to the outside, the 21P to the inside, and Dietrich comes down and doesn't leave much real estate for Darren Phillips that time, and they'll drag race down the backstretch now. Hendrix will go get ready to put another car down a lap, and boy, they are moving back and forth coming off of turn number 4 now as Phillips gets out in front on the white flag.
And Phillips returned the favor in 3 and 4 as he rode Dietrich high.
Well, you say turnabout is fair play, right? Well, 2 wins so far on the season for the Buckhorn Bullet. Make it 3 now for David Hendrix as he takes home the checkered flag. A great run for Darren Phillips.
Yeah, the track was real good. You know, usually we like it better when it gets a little slicker, you know, but we just made some adjustments in the pits, you know, to adjust for a heavier racetrack, and I think that's part of it sometimes, just getting lucky and knowing when to adjust the car, and it worked really good. So, because we got our butt handed to us in the heat race, you know what I mean? So you just got to work on it and keep digging. Even if you're fast, you got to keep changing stuff and try to make it better.
Of our flagman Mike Striegel, and the Modifieds will motor off into turn number 1, and Robert Heidenreich bounces his way into turns 1 and 2, slides up high on the track, and Evan Hubert will thread the needle, slide inside Robert Heidenreich, get just 1 nose out in front of Middaugh, and the top 2 cars will navigate their way through turns 3 and 4 and lead with Heidenreich a car length out in front of Evan Hubert. Then what a mess it is in the middle of the pack as the top 5 cars have all been lined out. Then you get back to Terry Kirk in 6th, and that's where it gets interesting as Dustin Hodges going way high. Lucas Dobbs will go low side, and the Undertaker, Jesse Stovall in the 00, he's just trying to pick his way through the field as well, as that is just a mess of cars deep in the field.
They are 3 across as they enter turn number 3, and one of the cars gets a little sideways, then runs into the 21 of Tracy Wolf. That's Jesse Stovall, the
7-time champ, as he will get on the restart here. He gets down through the gearbox, steps down on the right pedal, and he is off and running as Ryan Middaugh will use that outside line. Evan Hubert had the choice on if he wanted to go inside or outside. He chose inside, and it didn't pay off, as here comes Button Buck. Middaugh grabs the 2nd spot away, and now Evan Hubert will lose even more track position, and Dylan Mcgowan is now there to pounce. Side-by-side battle for 3rd. All in the meantime, up front, Ryan Middaugh is cut into Hollywood's lead, and off of turn 4, Middaugh will lead lap number 5.
Wow, you want to talk about getting racy a little bit further back in the field. Payday, Peyton Phillips in the 98, split Kirk and the driver from Lowell, Arkansas apart. Now all of a sudden he's got the 21 and the 22 in front of him. Don't be surprised if he doesn't try to slip that 98 between a couple of more cars and continue his move toward the front as he started all the way back in 15th.
Ryan Middaugh now starting to check out, and here comes Dylan Mcgowan, a winner back in week 1 in the number 8 at the line. He'll have a nose out in front of Hollywood Heidenreich. Robert continues to go a little bit higher on the track. He is getting way up into the tacky stuff, trying to find some type of grip, and it did not work. Mcgowan had him by a nose at the line. He now has him by 6 car lengths as they exit turn number 4.
Now, Hollywood was always a high side hustler when he was in his B-Mod. He won in a B-Mod, he's won in this Modified, but now everybody's going to get collected.
Modified heat race. Now Ryan Middaugh very slow through turns 3 and 4 before he steps down on the go button. And Heidenreich, a better start this time, but he will start to plow a little bit in turn 1, find that cushion up on the top, get a good run off of turn 2, and stay side by side with Mcgowan.
Peyton Phillips in the 98 has picked up 10 spots as he races around Evan Hubert and has a top 5 car trying to work around now Hollywood. Heidenreich setting anchor, falling back from the top spot to 4th, and 98 tries to get around him, and now trouble back on the backstretch. Hodges, Fellers, and one other car all involved as the yellow lights are on again.
As the caution lights go out again. And for the second time, Ryan Middaugh very late getting on the hammer. We'll see what Peyton Phillips can do now.
Go up the track, apparently.
Yep, we jinxed him.
Yep.
It happens. So he goes from top 5 to now outside top 10, and he will have to claw his way back in. All that work through 9 laps disappears, and now it's a 2-horse show.
This is why Dylan Mcgowan's parents don't like us talking about him driving well, because things like that happen. But right now, the young gun is up in that number 2 spot behind Button Buck Ryan Middaugh, and then there's a big gap back to your previous race leader, Robert Heidenreich, and he has got his hands full with the 292 of Kyle Thompson.
Kyle Thompson just a car length behind Robert Heidenreich. Top 2 cars have broken away. Then it's another set of 2 cars running for 3rd and 4th before you get to side-by-side action. Evan Hubert digging down on the low side. Lucas Dobbs drifts up high on the track. Chase Domer gives some kudos to him as well, as he has worked his way through the field. Jason Pursley, we talked about him as well, trying to match Chase Domer step for step, as now Lucas Dobbs is off the pace. He's on the front stretch very slow, hugging the wall, and he's going to go top side, and his night is done as something breaks on the 23.
You talk about Chase Domer started 16th, Shane, up to 7th, so 9 spots to the good for the driver from Nevada, Missouri, and the top 2 on the pylon are checking out. Ryan Middaugh only has about a 0.6 of a second advantage over Dylan Mcgowan, but the gap back to the number 3 car is huge. 4.5 seconds between your race leader and that group of cars all vying for 3rd with Robert Heidenreich, Kyle Thompson, and Evan Hubert.
Good battle now for 3rd as it has turned into a 4-car jaunt between those 3. You got Hollywood Heidenreich in 3rd right now. Thompson to the inside. Evan Hubert was running low side. Now he has switched his line, and he's going to go higher on the track as he's looking for a little bit of grip. And then you've got the 10 that's up in the mix, as well as Kyle Schmidt. First time he's headed to Lucas Oil Speedway as Donnie Fellers goes a lap down. Almost gets in the way of Dylan Mcgowan, but Mcgowan will clear him as we are now 18 laps into this 25-lap feature.
But that was handled so much better that time by Middaugh. It was almost like when Middaugh got around Donnie Fellers, it was like Mcgowan didn't know he was going to be there. I don't know if he thought he was going to go up on the track, but Dylan had to get on the binders, lost a ton of momentum, and what was about a 0.5 second difference between the 21 and the 8 has now doubled since then as you're going into the final 5 laps.
Final 5, as you mentioned, as it has been a smorgasbord of victory lane visitors in this division. Terry Phillips has gotten there. Dylan Mcgowan did it in week number 1. Robbie Reed, a winner on the season as well, and now in our 4th week, possibly our 4th winner in this modified division. Only one out of all of our series, Corey, if you think about it. If I'm not mistaken, David Hendrix is the only repeat winner we've had out of all 4 classes this year.
You are correct, sir. How about the principal? You talked about, could the couple of the veteran guys in the back get to the front? Jason Pursley starts 17th. He has brought the 38 all the way to the 8th position. He has moved up 9 spots as well. So Jason Pursley doing a good job to weave through traffic, avoid problems and cautions, and get his way to the front.
Ryan Middaugh has not found victory lane since 2019. He picked up 1 win that season. did not pick up a win last year. He had 7 top 5s. As he grabs the white flag already, Dylan Mcgowan is going to make one last-ditch effort. It's been a couple years, but victory lane will be visited again by Ryan Middaugh.
Yeah, whenever I saw 8 up in second there on one of them restarts, I knew I had my work cut out for me. There at the start, I could tell that I was quite a bit better than those guys in front of me, and I needed to get out in front as quick as I could to get out of their roost. There was a lot of tear-offs being pulled tonight, and you know, just being able to dictate the restarts and stuff. So those last few laps there, I was trying to look up at the Jumbotron and see how close he was, and the last lap there, I seen him, and seeing that we had a couple car lengths on him going down the backstretch, so I just knew if I didn't screw up, we'd be all right. But man, I got to thank my dad, and my cousin Trevor drove down here, just me and my dad, and Trevor was at a track meet today, and my other buddies couldn't make it. My wife's at home, 22 weeks pregnant on bed rest, and I wish she could be here. I hate that she missed it, but I tell you what.
They make their way to turn 4. The green flag goes up, and the late models get loud on a Saturday night. Boy, and it is a repeat performance for Larry Ferris. I don't know if you strip that car down, if you'll find a Ferrari or the Batmobile or what underneath that red and yellow 51, but that dude is freaky fast, and he leads the field around for lap number 1, a 0.6 of a second advantage over the 7X of Todd McCoy. And J.C. Morton in that Moon Brothers Racing entry currently sitting in 3rd, but your points leader, Shane, wants to get around him. Cole Henson thinks it's hammer time.
Well, Cole Henson to the inside, trying to get below J.C. Morton. Didn't happen that time as Derek Wiss's car has come to a stop on the backstretch. Jason Sybil's car stops over in.
Well, see if the 49-year-old can pull another hole shot on the restart, the first of this 20-lap race, and he does get away clean with J.C. Morton out of Springfield, Missouri, trying to give chase. The hammer Cole Henson takes an inside line underneath the 7. And McCoy starts to make his way up the track, tries to get a run off the top of turn number 4, and can't take the number 3 spot away from the hammer. Johnny Fenwald in the 21 trying to make his way up into that top 5 there. And then a bunch of different cars jockeying for position further back in the field. Matt Becker and the 42 of Chad Richwine in a battle to stay in the top 10. You see some damage, sheet metal on the right side of the 00.
And Johnny's going the wrong direction. He was running in a fight for top 3. Now he's outside the top 5 as Tucker Cox has gotten back past him. Todd McCoy has been able to stay out in front of him. And for the longest time, and Larry Ferris even mentioned this in the pit area, he says, got to find a way to get around Johnny Fenwald. Well, Johnny has not been his dominant self this year. Through 4 races, he has 1 win. First 2 weeks were just dismal. And now he's running back in 6th and not really able to make any hay, and we'll get through the field.
And isn't that awful? Most drivers can go an entire season and never sniff victory lane. Johnny Fenwald's got 1 race win in 4 races, and we're talking about it being a subpar year for the guy who was our RCR Hot Laps winner just a few hours ago when the sun was still out. But right now, he is trying to get his car into the top 5, but he's on the outside looking in as Tucker Cox is in 5th. Larry Ferris now dealing with lap traffic and has to slow up to try to get around Bob Cummings and the Bob's Auto Shack entry number 6. He and J.C. Morton will do so at the bottom of the racetrack. Cole Henson trying to join them as well, but he slides up behind the 6th, then jumps to the inside. Ferris still enjoying about a 2nd advantage over Morton, but he hasn't been able to run away from him like he was earlier.
He hasn't, and Bob Cummings really kind of spoiled the run that Larry Ferris had, as it was a 2.1 second lead at that time. Morton cut it to 0.8. Now he has it to 0.7, and it's all about corner entry over into turn number 3 right there. Look how much further down J.C. Morton is able to dive and bury it in. He just can't quite keep that momentum coming off of the turn. He's making up ground going in, but he's losing it coming off.
Larry Ferris in that Capital chassis with the Scott Bailey racing engine. Average finish was 5th for a lot of the time that he has been here. 2019, he had 2 wins, 10 top 5s. Right now, he's got 7 more laps. He's just trying to keep J.C. Morton behind him right now. But boy, J.C. just more and more seat time, leading to better results there in that Moon Brothers Racing Sedalia Electric Motors entry.
And you know that car can win. Will Vaught motored it to victory lane
Opening night.
on opening night, and he's, now that lap traffic guess is playing into it a little bit, he's pretty much been able to stay with Larry Ferris with 5 laps to go. Again, trying to get through lap traffic. J.C. Morton just kind of waiting around to see if he can do anything with Larry.
Well, what he's done, Shane, is he's cut the lead in half. Now Morton goes to the high side, and Ferris will chase him up there to block. The 51 and the 72 nose to tail now as they're getting ready to put the 0X of Jason Civils down a lap. Ferris that time a great run off of turn number 4 to get some breathing room between he and Morton with 3 more laps to go.
Larry Ferris kind of dangling a carrot out in front of J.C. Morton right now, just staying just enough ahead of him to give J.C. some hope. But whenever they do indeed clear lap traffic, Larry Ferris sets sail again and starts to build that lead back up.
J.C. Morton, 6 years in the seat of a race car. He started in 2015. And Larry Ferris, he's been doing it, let's just say, a little while longer. Ferris now on that white flag, got just half of a circuit to go here. Plenty of breathing room. He just has to hit his marks through 3 and 4 and then drop the hammer coming off of 4 and race his way into victory lane once again. Larry Ferris, your winner on NMI Night at the Races, presented by Wild Animal Safari.
Yeah, it's a good car, I think.
Incredible, and you guys had great races going on as it came up. J.C. Morton finally coming up on your side. You had to see him coming around some of those corners, but didn't have anything for you.
Yeah, I couldn't hear him, but I never did see him either, so that's probably a good thing.
As the field is side by side, and here we go. 20 laps for the B-Mods, and Mitchell Franklin, who went from last to first in 1 lap, has competition now on his outside, and Andy Bryant will clear him. Go top shelf. Grab the lead on lap number 1, lead by 3 car lengths, and Super 8 John Sheets will look to do the same. J.C. Morton in tow. He made the quick transition from his late model after a 2nd place run. He's got himself a top 5 car as he tries to clear Eric Turner. Those are team cars in Scotty Allen Racing. John Sheets and Mitchell Franklin side by side. They're not in Scotty Allen's cars, but they own 2nd and 3rd.
Andy Bryant, your race leader, 3 wins in 2021, and things are getting racy a little bit further back in the field. Bryant won at Old 71 on Friday night. He's trying to pull a David Hendrix, Shane. He wants to get 2 wins in 2 nights this weekend.
Well, Andy Bryant on that last lap in turns 3 and 4 did exactly what Jesse Stovall did as he got it sideways, shot straight down the track, but he was able to get it corrected. Luckily, there was nobody on his inside as Chris Jackson now is trying to get up into the mix in for a top 5 as he's looking to the outside of Eric Turner.
Well, he was able to get it corrected because there was no one around him. He was leading the race. Now trouble in between 1 and 2 will bring out the Boone's Barbecue Barn.
And got an updated total last week.
Well, that's fair enough then.
So Andy Bryant, front row all to himself. He will clear Mitchell Franklin. This time Franklin doesn't have heat from the high side. He has heat directly from behind as J.C. Morton and Chris Jackson are 3 wide with John Sheets the outside. Franklin has to lift, shoot straight up the track in front of J.C. Morton. Morton will cross over as 2 cars get involved in turns 3 and 4 and bring out the caution flag as the 30 is your current leader in this. Chris Jackson, go figure. He chooses to go to the inside, shuffles Mitchell Franklin to the outside, and it is a 2-car breakaway between Chris Jackson and Andy Bryant. How many times have we seen this And how many times have we seen these top 3 cars now in it as J.C. Morton rounds out your podium right now? 1, Bryant, 2, Jackson, 3, Morton.
Those are the 3 names that have been synonymous with this division and dominance in this division at the Diamond of Dirt tracks. As Bryant leads Jackson and Morton into turn number 4, Jackson drifts up on the track, tries to take a similar line to Bryant and comes down and cuts off the nose of J.C. Morton. Those two tangled a couple of weeks ago. Heck, what was it, opening night?
Week 1.
They came together. They are hooked up again here. Luke Phillips almost gets turned around as he gets squirrely alongside the 55, but he is able to right the ship and keep going as we near the midway point, and Chris Jackson starting to reel in your race leader. He gets a good run off of 2. See what he does with them here as they come toward the flag stand.
Well, there's going to be plenty of time for Chris Jackson or J.C. Morton to whittle away at that Andy Bryant lead. Bryant continues to run on the high side, waiting for Jackson to get that one run, the one that it gets him the momentum to do the slide job and pull in front of Andy Bryant. And Andy, very wisely on the cross flag lap, will go down a little bit lower in turns 3 and 4 and try to take some of that run away that Chris Jackson had. The high side is the fast side for Andy Bryant. Now he goes back to the inside again, completing lap number 11, and Chris Jackson just can't get enough momentum off the turn to pull ahead of the 28.
Just 1/10 of a second separates the 28 and the 65 as Jackson and Bryant drag race down the back chute. Bryant now goes a little bit lower, slides high up on turn number 4, up around the cushion, and Jackson will lead at the scoring circuit this time around.
And that turn in 3 and 4, whenever Andy Bryant had given way to Chris Jackson, Jackson got his nose to the inside on corner entry. Bryant tried to keep on the pedal, went right up the track, jumped the cushion. That opened the door for Chris Jackson. Now lap traffic is going to play a key as Bryant has switched his line. He's gone low side, and he can't get around the lap traffic first. Lets Chris Jackson get back out in front. Andy Bryant will now go high side again, trying to find a way around all the slower cars. Chris Jackson doing just a better job of getting to the inside of Gish, getting to the inside of the number 4, trying to make the pass around Drew Sheets. And now with only 5 laps to go this time by, Chris Jackson doing a great job of staying ahead of Andy Bryant.
Chris Jackson, Shane, reminds me of one of those veteran running backs that back in the good old days when you'd run the I or the power set and he'd have a fullback. You let the fullback take a spot, pick up a block for you, and you just patiently look for the lanes to open up. And the veteran from Lebanon, Missouri, just picking his spots right now strategically and keeping the 28 behind him as he weaves his way through lap traffic. Jerry Ellis in the 24, the next on the hit list for KJ.
And Jerry Ellis has some smoke coming out of the back end of that number 24. He is able to stay top side. He'll get the move over flag from Michael Striegel that time around, as Jackson now opening up a little bit more of an advantage over Andy Bryant. If this thing stays green, I think Chris Jackson has it. They will get the 2 to go sign this time by. That completes lap number 18.
Almost a second differential between Jackson and Bryant that time by, Shane, and a big gap between Bryant back to J.C. Morton, who's been almost a second and a half off the pace from the top 2.
This time lap traffic plays a little more into it as Nathan Schwartz didn't give up that line. Chris Jackson had to lift, but on the white flag lap, this one's all but said and done. If Chris Jackson can keep his nose clean through 2 more left-hand turns, he's got it. Indeed, he will. He'll grab the second feature win of the season. For the defending champ, Chris Jackson wins number 2. Andy Bryant in second. J.C. Morton rounds out the podium with a 3rd place finish.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Andy's so good at running the top, and I don't know, it seemed like he kind of slowed up. I don't know if he had something laying down or tire going down, but he definitely seemed like he backed up a little bit. But track was pretty good, you know. I like a slicker track, but it was smooth, and I really can't complain about that. You guys work so hard at this, and really appreciate everything you guys do. And this one means a lot to me. I've started in the front and won a lot this year, but starting behind all the guys that are, your fast runners, passing them without hitting them, all those things come into play tonight. And this thing was a rocket ship.